Hi, my name is Jason, and this is my training on sensitivity analysis as a tool for capital budgeting. So let's start out by discussing what a sensitivity analysis is. So a sensitivity analysis determines how different variables of an independent variable affect a particular dependent variable under a given set of assumptions. This is also known as a what-if analysis. It's a tool that is commonly used by financial analysts to predict the outcome of a specific action when performed under certain conditions. In terms of capital budgeting, it involves examining what happens to a budget when changes are made in the assumptions on which it is based. So when to use sensitivity analysis for capital budgeting. So it can help provide insight on making management decisions regarding the business taking on a new project or a venture. The analysis can help predict what will happen to the project if initial assumptions and estimates turn out to be unreliable. So the analysis involves changing the assumptions and estimate values to see those impacts on those projects' finances. And assessing that wide range of outcomes can help management better analyze that project before making that investment decision. So this is just an example of a sensitivity analysis. So for this scenario, let's say that we want to understand the impact of advertising spending on total sales. So we know that sales are a function of price and transaction volume. And let's say that we determine that a 20% increase in advertising spending increases transaction volume by 5%. So we can conduct a sensitivity analysis around this equation based on what-if statements and what will happen if we increase advertising spending. So based on this data, we already know that a 20% increase increases sales by 5%, and we can extrapolate that to figure out that a 40% increase in advertising spending would increase sales by 10%, and increasing advertising spending by 60% would increase sales by 15%. So this sensitivity analysis would show that sales are moderately sensitive to changes in advertising spending. So how is sensitivity analysis calculated? Sensitivity analysis is often performed in analysis software. Excel has built-in functions to perform the sensitivity analysis. It's calculated in Excel by leveraging formulas that reference different input cells. And adjusting the variables within those input cells will display those different outcomes. Some of the two key components of a sensitivity analysis in calculating it, we've got independent variables. So these are variables that can change, and these are the variables that can affect the outcome of a financial model. Examples of these can include inflation rates, growth rates, and interest rates. Dependent variables, on the other hand, are output variables that are influenced by those independent variables. And some examples of those include net present value, internal rate of return, and stock prices. And presenting sensitivity analysis data, this is one example of how to present a sensitivity analysis data. This is a tornado diagram. And here we can see the horizontal bars are the independent variables. It's not listed here, but the dependent variable is the internal rate of return. So we can see here that the internal rate of return is most sensitive to CapEx. It's got the widest range of possible outcomes. From the baseline, it's got the worst possible effect on internal rate of return. And we can also see that the internal rate of return is least sensitive to the construct period. It's got very minimal impact on the internal rate of return, both to the positive and to the negative. And one important piece is to differentiate between sensitivity analysis versus scenario analysis. A sensitivity analysis focuses on the impact that a range of variables has on a given outcome. The variables are isolated to determine each variable's impact on a range of possible outcomes, while a scenario analysis involves specifying all relevant variables that align with a specific scenario to determine that full range of outcomes given all extremes. And lastly, advantages and disadvantages of sensitivity analysis. So some of the advantages, it can help to identify value drivers upon which to focus management attention on. So those independent variables that can have the widest range of impact on those dependent variables. It can help guide decisions and mitigate risk. It explores scenarios and formulates contingency plans. Some of the disadvantages: it can be time consuming when testing numerous scenarios, and it necessitates resources and specialized skills. It is limited to the model inputs, so basically garbage in, garbage out. If the assumptions or estimates are bad, then you're going to get bad data out of it. And these are my references. And that it concludes my training. Thank you very much.